Congressman Mike Johnson. Hey, Mr. Mike, Happy New Year. It's been a while. Hope things are well.
It has. It's been a while. Things are great, and Happy New Year to you guys.
It's been a while because you are one of the busiest men in all of America. No, seriously, let's look back at 2017. The Congress of the United States, the House of Representatives, quite a number of achievements. Which ones? Let's go beyond the tax bill, which is awesome, but let's go a little beyond that. What else has gone on your side of the legislature that you guys are most proud of?
Well, you know what? We set America on a path to energy dominance. That's a big thing for the state of Louisiana. It's a big thing for the country. We approved the Keystone XL pipeline, the Dakota Access Pipeline. We directed the EPA to end job-killing, the war on coal that they had, and we opened ANWR to responsible energy exploration. And I authored a number of bills to help us with offshore production of oil and gas here on our shores. We're moving that forward, and it's a long time coming. We've also really had a big agenda for regulatory reform, and the mainstream media didn't cover this a lot, Robert, but huge strides in that way. We repealed 22 regulations for every new one federal regulation. Every new one, 22, are off the books, and that's going to save taxpayers over $8 billion. It's going to liberate us from this grip of bloated government. And I think that's the stock market has reflected that. You know, the economy is going well. 1.7 million new jobs, consumer confidence at a 12-year high, unemployment's at a 17-year low. I mean, the reason is because people have confidence in what we're doing, and I think it's being reflected. It will continue to be in 2018. We've got a good year ahead. Also
important to everybody around here is the efforts to rebuild the military.
Exactly. Long time overdue. You know, the last 8 years, previous 8 years under the Obama administration, we saw a downsizing of the U.S. military at the worst possible time. I mean, you and I know we live in a very dangerous world. We have tyrants and terrorists who aim to do us harm. We've got the Middle East as a tinderbox, North Korea, and all the rest. We have to have our military ready and prepared and able, with all the best equipment, to do the job that we desperately need them to do. We've secured the biggest pay raise for the troops in over 8 years. We're rebuilding the military piece by piece. We've added tens of billions to that defense budget. It's absolutely necessary, and anybody who argues otherwise is just simply not looking at the facts.
You didn't fully repeal Obamacare like a lot of folks were but you took a leg out from under the table. Is that accurate?
It is. We got rid of the individual mandate in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act bill, and that was a huge component of what we needed to do. But we've got to circle right back to it in the first quarter of this year. And the reason why is that everybody who's paying attention realizes that the Obamacare system is imploding. I mean, the exchanges are falling apart. You're going to have huge swaths of the country that have one or zero insurers writing policies on the exchanges beginning this month. And it's a crisis. Premiums have skyrocketed in Louisiana. They're up over 150% on average across the board since 2013. It's just not a sustainable model. And so we've got to get the free market principles involved in that again. We have to fix it around the edges. If we can't entirely repeal and replace it, we're going to have to keep nibbling at the edges, and that's going to continue because it has to.
Congressman Mike Johnson, you and Attorney General Landry have been working on a student rights review with regard to religion in our schools. I'm a little confused because, you know, we all are under this myth that religion doesn't belong in the schools. That's a myth, right?
It is a myth. You know, that's the sad thing is that over the last few decades, the right to religious expression has been increasingly challenged. It's been misunderstood. And now many people believe, and they've been led to believe, that our elementary and secondary schools have to be somehow religion-free zones. But the truth is exactly the opposite, that, you know, our Constitution has always protected students' rights, the rights to religious expression, the right to religious liberty, the most fundamental that we have. It's the first freedom listed in the Bill of Rights, as we all know, and there's a reason for that. So Jeff Landry and I, the Attorney General, we issued a joint publication. We released it yesterday. It's going statewide. It already has gotten a lot of attention. We're sending hard printed copies to all the superintendents around the state. We want it to be a tool for parents and teachers and students and educators, everyone, to know, to encourage students that they do not shed their constitutional rights to free speech and religious freedom when they walk through the schoolhouse gate. That's not my words. That's the words of the U.S. Supreme Court. We've got to remind these kids they still have and can enjoy all this freedom.
Students can pray in school as long as it's not led by a teacher or somebody of authority. Is that accurate?
That's the best. The rule of thumb is that religious expression on campus has to be student-led and student-initiated. And so as long as they're in that lane, that's the safe lane, that students have every right to pray and read the Bible on campus and, advertise their religious student clubs on the same basis as everyone else. See, we've been led to believe we've got a generation sometimes of school leaders in some places around the country and some parishes in the state who have been led to believe that you have to have this sort of allergic, knee-jerk reaction to ban all religion and religious sentiments on a public school campus. It's just simply not true. That's not what the law says. So we're trying to encourage everyone, to keep the faith, so to speak. You can live out your faith in public, even if you happen to be on the campus of a public school.
Mike Johnson, one more thing. When am I going to see my paycheck go up with the tax reform? Everybody listening wants to know, is it going to be the January 15th check, February 1st?
Feb.
When?
1, right?
Yeah, we're projecting February because it's taken everyone a while to recalibrate. It's taken the IRS a while to get the new rules in place and all of that. But you ought to begin to see it by your February check. And some people are going to see a substantial increase. Some will see smaller increments of increases. But I think, according to all the projections, over 90% of Americans are going to see immediate relief from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act bill. This is a big deal, you guys. Mm-hmm. Biggest corporate tax cut in the history of the United States, and the most substantial individual tax rate cuts in generations. So we're going to see the effects. The economy is going to continue to boom and grow even further, and that's going to help us in Louisiana.